Really be a disciple of Jesus Christ. Really be a disciple. Don't just believe, like lay down your life and operate in obedience and really trust that God, He really has your best interest at heart. Even when you don't feel like it, you're still blessed. Even when you don't feel like it. Always check your feelings. Rely on what you know about God.
You are here. Welcome to the Purpose Finder podcast. This is the show where we uncover why you are truly here and, more importantly, how to make it your reality. My father, the late Dr. Miles Monroe, said the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but life without purpose. And research further shows that people with a strong sense of purpose are 2.4 times more likely to feel fulfilled. Each week, I sit down with extraordinary guests, entrepreneurs, artists, thought leaders who are boldly living their why. We dive deep into their journeys, the struggles they've overcome, their breakthroughs, and the lessons that can help you do the same. I am your beautiful host, Charissa Monroe Wilborn, and we're about to explore the mindsets, tools, and strategies to help you live a life with purpose, passion, and legacy. Are you ready? Let's go and dive into the episode. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another amazing episode of the Purpose Finder podcast, where our mission is simple: to inspire you to find and uncover your life's purpose and to live a life overflowing with three things. You know them: meaning, fulfillment, and significance. Why? Because deep down, we all crave belonging. No one wants to feel unfulfilled. And we are all searching, asking that big question: why in the world am I here? Well, I hope you allow your search to end right here on this podcast. I am your host, Charissa Monroe Wilborn, and today I sit down with an amazing woman. You are going to hear her stories and her lessons for the first time, just like I am, and I am excited to hear how she's living her life so boldly on purpose. Help me welcome Shani McKoy. Shani. How are you?
Hi, I am good. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for being here. Like I say to all my guests, thank you for saying yes.
Of
You could have
course.
very well said, I don't have time for Charissa's podcast. I have things to do. I have a life to live. But that is not what you said. Your husband and yourself both said,
Yeah,
yes, we will be
of
here. So
course.
I'm excited.
Yes, I'm
I'm
super excited. Yes, super
excited.
excited to get into it. Yeah, super
So please,
excited.
my audience don't want to hear any more from me. They love to hear from the guests I bring on. And so please, from your heart, let us know who you are, where you're from, and just a little bit about all the great things that you are doing in the world.
Yes, so my name is Shani. I am a Jersey girl from the East Coast who had big dreams to be an actress in Hollywood. So I moved to the amazing Los Angeles to pursue it. And then God interrupted my little plans and called me into ministry. So I started my online ministry called Shani Speaks Up, which is a women's ministry. And it was just a small act of obedience that really turned into this amazing platform that helped women from across the world. Now, my husband and I are pivoting to our Dream Scripted podcast, where it's really a platform that collides faith and purpose. And we really believe that God has a purpose, has scripted everyone's life. And our goal is to get you to walk into it and make sure that whatever He put in your head, you get it done before you get off of this earth. So that's a little bit about where I'm at today in life.
Yes. So you're doing great things today. You're on the
Yeah.
mountaintop, like I would say. But we all know that being on the mountaintop is not always where you started. You weren't always on the mountaintop. I know for me, I would love to say, yes, I was always on the mountaintop. I don't know what the valley looks like, but unfortunately, I do know
Yeah.
exactly what my valley looks like. I know what darkness looks like. So please share with us some of the challenges and adversities along the journey on your way to the mountaintop of
Yeah.
scripting your purpose.
Yeah. Great question. I think for me, the hardest thing was obedience. And like I said,
Mhm.
I came here to do acting, and God totally flipped the script and wanted me to do ministry. And that's a lot of doubt came into my mind at first. Can I do this? Am I qualified? I did not grow up, really around it. I was introduced to church at a really young age, yes, but I never, ever saw myself being a leader in that space. So a lot of doubt. And then when I did step into obedience with God, He takes my father 3 months, Charissa, into starting. A lot of the time it takes so much to operate in obedience, right? And then you do it and you think, I'm going to be good. This feels so good doing what God says. But then He takes something from you, something that meant so much to me. And my father was my like number one cheer. Right. Everything. After I was done with my ministry, I would call my father. I'm like, Dad, this is how it went, and my dad, he God took him. And I remember I learned a lot because during that time I was new in my ministry. I was telling the ladies, God is gonna heal my father, you know, and he didn't. And I went through feeling a little bit of of shame, of like, I said God is gonna do it. They look at me as a leader, and it's like God didn't do it, So I've had conversations with God about that, and for a little bit, my faith got rocked. Losing a parent, my faith got rocked, and it wasn't, honestly, Charissa, this may sound crazy, but it wasn't until I saw my father's dead body moments after he took his last breath, faith shot up. Everything that I know about God, I mean, I started to speak over my father's, but I'm like, this is not my father. This is just the bodysuit. My father is with the Lord. I felt his presence. Amazing. So what I did in that moment was I said, what would a pastor do? What would a pastor do? They would keep going. You got to keep going even when life tries to knock you down. So losing my father was a big one. Doubt, and just stepping into what God wants me to do. And I really feel like because I stepped into what God wanted me to do in my single years when I was doing Shani Speaks Up, that's how I met my husband. The formula has always been step into your purpose so that you will know what kind of man you're looking for. You won't really know if you don't really know first what it is that you want to do. So I do feel like all of that stuff kind of led me to my husband.
To your husband, to where you are now, and we'll
Yes.
we'll get to husband.
Yes.
Um, but I want to go back a little bit because you mentioned, you were obedient. You were
Yeah.
obedient. God called you to this ministry, and you said yes. And then three
Hmm.
months into it, it's like He took something away from you.
Yeah.
And part of your story right here resonates very deeply with me because, as you know, I also lost my father, the
Yeah.
late Dr. Miles Monroe, and my mother, Dr. Ruth Monroe, together at
Yeah.
the same time.
Yep.
But mine was the other way around. My positioning was I lost my parents, I lost my father, and then there was this mantle that was presented before me. There was this legacy that was presented before me, and the question was, are you going to accept it?
Yeah.
Are you going to accept the baton?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I would have preferred like a normal race. If
Yeah.
I'm going to accept the baton, it's from
Yeah.
someone who is still very much running the race.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so there were questions. And I'm like, well, if this is how I was going to get the baton, had I known, I would have lived life a little differently, you know?
Yeah.
So I,
Yeah.
and so I, but there was still sacrifices that you and I had to make or give up, even though they weren't voluntary sacrifices. We
Hmm.
had to lose something. And
Yep.
you're looking at yours as it was taken from you, and I'm looking at it as I lost something.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, something was extracted from you and
Yeah.
I. And then then we now at a place where you're in ministry already.
Hmm.
I then also said yes
Hmm.
to this mantle and this baton that my dad passed as he transitioned. And so now we are both still in the business of serving.
Mm-hmm.
And could you imagine what it is to now be serving, pouring out of you,
Yeah.
but yet your cup is empty because there's loss, there's grief, there's pain, and I know you know it. So talk
Yeah.
to us about what that was.
Oh,
Pour,
the weight.
having to still do ministry because 3 months ago you said yes,
Right.
and then this thing was taken away from you. So now there's compounded with grief and loss
Yeah.
and pain and anger. I'm sure. How was
Of
that for
course.
you balancing that?
Extremely hard. I mean, the weight of ministry, the weight of still having to pour out into people while you're dealing with your own stuff, right? Like it was so hard. What it looked like at first was I had to take a 2-week break and I just isolated myself. And it was just worship and me. That's it. I needed that 2-week time to myself to just cry it out, ask the Lord, why? Why now? Why like this? I felt some type of way of how my father died. He died of COVID and he suffered for 5 weeks. So I had so many questions that I needed just a 2-week break. Then what got me up was really thinking about what a pastor would do. The ladies in my ministry were so kind. I got to learn the sweet side of ministry when people can show up for you. You know, they gifted me flowers. I mean, and these are women that I've only met online. You know, I've never met them in person at this time. And I was like, this is so amazing. You know, so I'm learning the sweet side of ministry. The real true connection was that I wanted was able to be built and just continuing to push through. I actually had a lady who said to me, Shani, some months after, she said, wow, I remember when your father passed and you kept going. She said, like, that motivated me. And you know what else it did, Charissa? There was a lot of women in my ministry who did not have relationships with their father. And I would keep encouraging them, listen, I lost mine. I lost mine. Get it right now. I don't care what happened, work it through. You only get one and you still have time. So it was challenging for me, but a lot of beautiful things and I learned that I was resilient. I did not know I was resilient. And I learned not to take it personal. Not to take it personal.
And I hate, and I'm going to say this just because I remember how I felt in the moment. I remember how I felt when I learned more about resilience. And resilience, unfortunately, is one of those things in life that you can only get stronger in and expand in the face of adversity. So for as long as your life is peachy clean and black and white, or there are no challenges and no adversity whatsoever, your adversity is always going to be at base or at bay, if you will. But talking about, your resilience will be at bay. But talking about growing in resilience and becoming more resilient and more resilient, when someone tells me they are more resilient, then I also know that means they've gone through more pain. They've gone through more challenges. They've gone through more adversity. And so just like you, that was a muscle, the resilient muscle that I was building and for the last 10 years have been building as I continue to pour, but also still navigate, still navigate grieving. I don't know that I don't know that there is this completion or complete healing, if you will. You really do just get more resilient and you get stronger. So you get a little better at dealing with the pain, but the pain and the loss is still very much there. And how do persons like you and I who are doing great, amazing things in the world still pour out? I remember as a family unit, myself, my brother, my dad, my mom, we had a plan. Shawnee, we had a plan. There was a plan. Earlier that year, my dad had a meeting with us of what our vision was going to look like over the next 3 to 5 years. I'll never forget it. We sat around the table and there was a plan that he had for the family. There was a vision that he had laid out as the leader of the house. Even though my brother and I were grown, we were in our 30s at this point. And however, we still, as a family unit, knew what we wanted to do together. And then later on that year, everything happened.
Yeah.
And the Proverbs came to my mind, and it comes to my mind every time I need a reminder. Many are the plans in a man's
Yep.
heart, but it's always the Lord's purpose that prevails.
Ugh.
And so
Yeah.
I think about
Yeah.
that. It doesn't make it any easier sometimes,
Yeah.
but you question, like you said, you question God. And I
Yep.
remember being at a retreat, and one of the things that the facilitator asks during this exercise of addressing the person that you may be upset with who has left you. So, for
Mhm.
many of the people in the room, they were either upset with their mother or they were upset with their father, who may have
Mhm.
done something, who may have left, who may have abused them, who may have neglected them. For everyone, it was one or the other. And when she
Yeah.
got to me, my person of my point of anger was neither of my parents. My point of anger was at God. And it took this retreat for me to recognize that I wasn't mad at my parents for not being there. I was mad and angry at God for all sorts of reasons. But then I also knew that as angry as I was with him, I couldn't stay angry. Because the other thing I learned, and you and I talk about it, our fathers are everything. Your dad was your everything. So as you're saying what your dad was, I already knew. I already knew that he is your everything. You are a daddy's girl. You're still a daddy's girl in his absence. I know it. But then I had to realize that, Charis, and you said something. You said you only get one. And the pushback to that for me was that's just it. I thought I only had one. And then God showed me very, 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 very subtly that you actually have more than one. You've just been looking at that one uh, as though that's your only. And then he showed me, no, I am actually your ultimate father. And so there was this reminder that, you know what? God is my ultimate father. He has loaned me an earthly father, but that father can come and go, as you can see. But he is still very much there. And I'm sharing all these stories because as you talk about losing a father, like I know the pain, and you're in ministry and you're working and pouring into people. There's a navigation that must occur. And there's so much things that come with that that people would never understand. But I know there are other women and men that are stuck, not knowing how do I get out of this rut? How do I get out of this pain? So, Shawnee, if you had to share how you were, and what I like about your story is you also had the support. So, some of the support is what helped you kind of navigate through. But if you also have to share with someone who may be stuck in their pain, stuck in their grief, use it as an excuse to not be able to go on or not continue, what'll be some of the things that you would say, this is what you can do, this is what helped me? Can you share
Yeah.
with us?
I did have support. I still had my mom, by the grace of God, who helped me. But I was, um, as much as support she was to me, I was to her because she lost her husband, and she was actually ill as well. And I was nervous if she was going to go at the same time. So it was that kind of weirdness. But what can I tell people to keep going if they're feeling stuck? Cry out to God. No, like really cry out to God. It doesn't have to be fancy how you approach him. It can just be like, God, I need help. I don't know what to do next. It
Mhm.
feels like a major interruption in my life. I need you to help me. And once you cry out to him, if you don't know his voice, you have to get in your word daily to understand God. You have to try your hardest to get godly friends around you because it's going to help keep your perspective where it needs to be in a
Mm,
season like this. I remember I had a friend at the time who said to me, they also lost their parent. They said, it's not personal. something about that really helped me.
Mm.
I said, this is not personal. You know, it just really helped me in that moment to get through. And that's what I mean. If you have people around you that can keep giving you the right perspective,
How did you deal with that though? Because I'm thinking in the first 2, 3, 4, 5 months to a year, if someone had said that to me, oh, I was going to be pissed
yeah. Yeah.
because heck, it is personal. But how did you deal with that? How did you not go off? How did you agree with, you know what? Even though it may feel so, you're right. It's not personal.
I think I realized that just because I love God doesn't mean I'm going to get everything I
I
want.
want. Oh.
So nothing changed. I didn't have a great, amazing story initially. So I lost my father. I lost a relationship at the time, literally months after that. I moved into a new place. I'm all alone. I'm still having to go back to a job at the time that I hated as I'm doing ministry. It's like nothing good. I was like, this really is bad. Like
Mm,
it felt like, God, you're doing me dirty. And I used to say to myself, I said, God, the more I go hard for you, the worse my situation gets. What
mm,
is that? The
mm,
harder I go for you, Lord, the more I do, the harder my circumstances is getting. And it took just really me being honest. Like I have a raw, honest relationship with the Lord. Like I will come to him with that. I'm like, God, help me. Give me perspective. Give me something. I need to, I'm trying. Like, and he talks back to me, whether it's I hear his voice or it's people he brings into my life to keep me on the right path. So if you're stuck in that space, you got to be patient and realize you can't get everything that you want. So I kind of already didn't have like this privileged mindset. It's like, okay, great. God took my father. I'm still having to do ministry, but it's a refining process,
mm,
refining me. It's I have to learn something in this season to prepare me for the next season. And that's where the resilient and the grit, you know, like all of that came from that time. And I love my father, but Charissa, my husband, he has great elements of my father, which is very like comforting. And I said, oh, thank you, God, for that.
mm,
You know, and my
mhm,
dad's story, like that's why I feel like I lived like when my father was here, I feel like we really maximize our time. I do feel like that. We didn't always have the greatest of relationship, but the last few years of his life, best friends, like locked in like this. So I feel like I maximize my time with him. So I said, I'm like, you know what, Lord, it's never going to be the right time. When is it ever going to be the right time? And what choice do I have? So when you're stuck down and you're like, what do I do? What choice do you have? You could either self destruct, right? Or bet your luck on God. Just try it out. I would tell that person, try it out. What it's already bad. It could only go up from here, right? Count it all joy. If you're down, it can only go up. So that perspective is what helped me get through.
It's funny. I have to say this. I don't know about anybody else, but Mrs. McKoy just came for all of my edges just now because she said something that I haven't heard it put that way. I've actually heard it put a different way on the other side. But you said, even though you have this great relationship with God and essentially you're his favorite, if you will, he's not going to give you everything you want.
Right.
And just how we are in the human realm, in this natural realm, sometimes we can also be that way in the spirit realm,
Mm-hmm.
and we think that God should give us everything we want, when we want it, how we want it, and then when he doesn't, we tend to distance ourselves.
Right.
But I've never really looked at it that way. I've
Yeah.
always looked at it as I do have a right, and I am privileged, if you will,
Right.
as far as he's concerned. But then I
Yeah.
have to always remember, and I just said the scripture, I may have a plan, but if what he wants to give me or need, or what if what I want is not according to his will, then why would he? Like that would be going
Right.
against his own laws
Right.
and self. So Thank you for getting my edges together because,
Hey, Charissa, you
you know,
know what God said to me in that moment too? He said, I took your father, but do you still love me?
exactly.
And I said, yes.
Yes.
I
And
said,
I
I
think
do.
sometimes God needs to put us in positions to remind us that, like I said earlier, yeah, that's your father and I gave him to you, but don't forget who is your ultimate.
Right.
Don't forget who is your source.
Yep.
Don't forget who is your sustainer. And then don't forget who really and truly gets all the glory.
That's right. That's
And
right.
sometimes you may have to go through, like you say, you were saying yes and you were being obedient and doing all the right things according to you. And
Mm-hmm.
then you're like, and this is going bad, and this is going bad, and this is going bad. And I'm like, look, God, really? This is really for
Right.
me? And
Right.
he's like, yes, I need to test you.
Yep.
I need to make sure that I need, and I'm going to segue into it. I need to make sure that you're qualified for the work that you're
Yes.
doing.
Yes.
And now you mentioned very multiple times, you mentioned you struggled with fear and doubt
Yeah.
as to whether or not you were qualified.
Right.
And so talk to us about that. What do you have any idea where that fear and doubt may have come from, where it started? And then how did you work through it to get on the other side?
I'm here in Mexico City at the Pave the Path Retreat 2024.
This first day has been amazing.
We tend to look for answers on the outside of ourselves, when a lot of our solutions to our problems are on the inside of us.
If I had to wrap this up in one word, I would use the word transformative.
One thing I learned day one is, I guess, be open to the applause when you have people that are on your side cheering you on.
Transformation is a process, so I don't expect us to get to a place where we're completely transformed. You should never be transformed. There should always be a transforming continually happening.
My relationship to love is that I believe love is something you have to conquer. So I always go for challenging people versus love is something that you find, or love is something that finds you, where then I would date the people who actually want to be with me and not the ones who are avoiding.
If you want to return home unrecognizable, make sure you are with us next year. You don't want to miss such a beautiful experience.
I've already been thinking of people that I want to run home and tell, and I'm excited to come back next year.
Position yourself to be poured into so that you can be served from your overflow, but make sure that who and what is pouring into you is pouring in life. It's pouring in empowerment. It's pouring in good, positive vibes, because you don't want to be filling and pouring and overflowing on serving the people you serve with a bunch of oil.
Y'all better come on this retreat.
Yeah, I think the fear and doubt started because I always try to pursue acting. Actors can be a little insecure because you're always hearing no, you're not good enough. So it even when you're good, people are always saying no because you may not be right for a project. So if you don't have the right perspective, you can get a little insecure when it's really just you're not right for this particular project. So I think that self-doubt started really young, just pursuing a different career. But when it comes into ministry, Charissa, the way I looked at like a pastor or any like religious leader, it's like you're up there, I'm over here, we never really cross, like I never ever saw myself, I never desired power positioning in this space. I loved going to church, I love hearing from God and just receiving. Never thought I would have to give. I just wanted to receive. So the doubt came in is, from did I study enough? Do I know enough of my word to be able to teach this? Why would you use me, God? Like I moved to LA to do, you don't move to LA to do ministry. You just don't. You move here for entertainment. I'm like, well, why am I here? Shouldn't I be in the South somewhere, or somewhere that kind of has a culture around faith? So a lot of the self-doubt is just like, can I do it? And then when I started my ministry earlier, that I had some friends who were Christian friends just plant little negative seeds. Who ordained you? Those kinds of things. And I'm like, and I had to, once again, it's that perspective. God equips you once he calls you. The first thing you have to do is operate in obedience. If you say yes to God, because God is calling all of us, right? Some people just saying no. But if you say yes, he's going to equip you with everything you need. So I've always had people not always speak life into me from a young age. And I have a small group. My mom, my parents, they did, but like a lot of outside forces would always just try to come in and say little stuff. So around ministry, I did feel like that. And then when I met my husband, he's like an ordained minister, his dad's a bishop. I'm like, whoa. Like, this is a bit much. Can I do this? But God once again continues to reinforce me. Just I called you. You said yes. You're successful in my eyes. I'm going to equip you.
Was it an easy transition from wanting to be an actor to realizing, okay, so that wasn't the route God had for me? Was that an easy transition, or was it difficult? Was there a few bumps along the way of being okay, of resolving with, okay, then I guess I'm just not going to be the actor that I wanted to be? But
Yeah. I still want to do acting, God. Please. Can we just kind of like, mesh the two? I do believe God will mesh the two at some point in my life. I do. You have a lot of people doing it. Like Priscilla is doing it. She's acting and also, doing God's work. So I do think God is going to mesh it for me, but it's not easy. No, I'm like, God, you put this in me. Can I do it where it honors you? And I think everything in my life, God is like, let me check it. Check your motives. Why do you want this, Shani? Do you want it for your selfish ambition? Do you want to make a name for yourself? What do you want this for?
there is the big question, the why.
Yeah.
Why do you want it? Why do
Yeah.
you? And have you answered that question for yourself, Shani? Have you answered that question to why am I here?
Like, in general, like, why am I here on this earth?
Yes.
Yeah. I know that I'm a servant of Jesus Christ. I know that I am here to teach God's word to women. I know that how God works with me is he usually makes me go through things, and whatever I go through, he has me then go back and teach it. So that's how God works in my life. So I know that I'm here to be an ambassador for Christ, and that is my calling. He may use me in different platforms, whether it's podcasting or acting or different, I may be on different platforms, but ultimately I'm here to serve God's people and honor God and glorify him.
And so how have you been able to maintain the emotional burdens and the preparation of serving ministry, serving others, but also maintaining your own faith and personal growth?
Great question. How have I been able to manage that? Time management helps. My husband helps, gives me perspective. I'm not gonna lie, I gotta give it to him a lot. He helps me a lot with that. And just reminding myself, this is what God wants me to do. What choice do I have? I gotta do it. Right? I gotta do it.
What choice do you have? What choice do you have?
Right? When you're really for Jesus, what's your alternative? I gotta do it. So some days it may look, I'm jumbling a whole bunch of stuff. Some days seem a little smoother, but it is what it is. I gotta get it done. So I just kind of roll with the punches. I'm like, oh, today was a little bit challenging, but I gotta do it. I still have to get it done.
So how have you let go of control? Because you sound a lot like myself. We we want to be able to control our journey and our future, even sometimes the destination. But how have you allowed yourself, I'm going to say allow yourself to let go of the control of thinking that success is about striving on my own strength as opposed to obedience and trusting in God?
So I am in my word daily. And when those thoughts come to me, I have to stop, reassess, remember some of the biblical characters that I'm reading about. When I read about like prophet Isaiah, prophet I'm in Ezekiel right now. These people fully surrendered.
Mm.
At some point, it's like it's not about you. I remember saying to myself, God, you're killing me. Like, I don't even recognize myself. Like, I'm doing this for you. I don't even like nothing that I want. And he said, that's the point. What do you think I mean when I say you must die to flesh? And I said, shut me up. You're right. Die to everything that you want in your life, Shani. So I think I just keep reminding myself, like, to not have this entitlement with God. I'm not gonna get everything that I want.
Leave my edges alone, please.
There's no more left. There's
Every
no more
time you
left.
say that, it pulls it in more because that is such a reminder. Shawnee, you have no idea how much, and I have to put myself on Front Street because I too have a journey and a story, and I'm still working on me. He is still working on me, like they say. My journey is still ongoing. And there are times when I'm like my aunt she's God's favorite. So I always have to say I'm one of his favorite because I remember her, but I'm one of his favorite. So with that being said, I also in my mind say, hey, he's going to pour a little more favor on me than he does, anybody else. So and it's not that I'm entitled in the way that we know it in this in society, but you're
Yeah.
right. There are times when we really do think that we are just that special.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I forget about everybody else. And every time you say it, I'm like, okay, so you said it already. You got to say it no more. I understand.
Yes.
but I hope, just like how I'm catching what you're throwing, I hope
Yeah.
that other people are listening. I hope women and men, as you hear this, it's either a reminder or it's a slap in the face for the first time that
Yeah.
like you are not entitled. Uh, doesn't mean that God doesn't do for you what he will do for you. Forget anybody else, but
Yeah.
he doesn't have to.
Right.
He doesn't have to. And
Right.
not, especially if it's not according to his will. There's God's will and there's ours. And usually they're not ever the same. So there's
Right.
this constant reminder that he's saying that, hey, like you say, everything he's giving you, that ain't what you want. What you really want, he hasn't given it to you.
Right.
And you're like,
Right.
is it not gonna go my way? And he's like, that's just
Right.
it. That's just it. And especially the women that are listening, I love that your ministry is all about women.
Yeah.
And some of the things that you've really talked about, like obedience and
Yeah.
just surrendering.
Mhm.
What are some of the practical ways, if you can talk to women when it comes to walking in obedience of their lives, in their lives every day? What are some of those practical ways that they can do that?
Okay. Obedience has to be a lifestyle, everybody. Don't
She
do
was
it
ready. I
today.
mean, she
Right.
was ready. She didn't even think about it. She coming from
Ah.
all edges.
Yes, because it's such a big thing. I see so many people do, okay, I'll be obedient today and then I fall off. It has to be a lifestyle. Just like with working out. You can't do it today and then you fall off. You're gonna, it's not gonna work out for you, right? Same with obedience. It's not about you. This life is not about you. You're here for a reason. God needs you to get something done. You got to stay in your word. Understand God, who God is, his nature, how he conducts himself, how he moves, like how does he talk to people? Like get in your word daily. Daily. I don't care if it's 5 minutes. Discipline yourself to get in your word daily. Obedience is full surrendering, and obedience is really the definition of success to God. I don't care what you have material wise on this earth. If you have not operate in obedience, you're not successful in God's eyes. So I know that. And I'm like, oh, I want the real thing. I want to really be successful, right? So getting your word daily, start to talk to God, and it'll, it'll slowly start to just come together and say yes. If you're not saying yes, you're saying no. You really want to say no to God, who can just, in a snap of a finger, just say no to you, right? So those are some practical things I think people where you can start. Start there. And then he'll start to reveal your purpose. You'll begin to get more confident. You'll start to walk into it. God will start to surround you with the right environment. And then you're flourishing.
Mic drop. Where is the mic? Let's drop it. And you said something that makes me want to ask you, because you talked about acting. You talk about some of the things that you want, but that God isn't giving you or hasn't given you yet.
Mhm.
Are you in a place where you would be okay if you never did?
Yeah. 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 And I wrestled. Well, God asked me this question a few years ago. It's like I moved to Los Angeles and he asked me, he said, 2 options. What if I gave you your acting career, but you never got a husband, you never got, you never got a chance to have kids, but you're going to get this acting career? Or option number 2, you'll get the husband, you'll get the kids, you'll get, to be in God's perfect will for my life, but you don't necessarily get the
But
acting.
no acting.
And it broke my heart that I was even presented with these 2 options. I said,
Is there a third? What's the third option?
is
What's
there a
option 3?
third? Yeah, that broke my heart. After a while, I said, okay, I'm ready to answer this. And I said, okay, God, I'll surrender. I'll surrender what I wanted from my life. And I will do it just so I can be aligned with you. Because honestly, Charissa, my acting career dreams was mine. I didn't consult God with any of it. I didn't say, God, is this what you want me to do to honor you? Like, that's what we need to do, right? It's like, God, do you want me to do this? Or can I best honor you this way? Maybe he felt like I can't best honor him in acting. I could best honor him in ministry. Whatever, I'm going to do it. This life is not about me. It's not about me. So, yeah, that's what I will say about that.
And I appreciate the honesty,
Yeah.
because like you say, you didn't make it sound as though I had a dream that God had given me acting. And people love to say God did, God did, God did. It's some divine connection. But as far as you're concerned, it really is something that I want to do. It's personal, it's selfish.
Yeah.
And it clearly isn't his will, or it may not be his time.
Right.
Because sometimes we have this entitlement that he's going to give us what we want, when we want it, and how we want it.
Mm-hmm.
But for you, it could just be maybe timing isn't
timing. Right. If it doesn't happen, I'm
at all.
okay.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are
I'm
you okay
okay.
with
I'm okay. I'm okay. Because success to me is obedience. If God tells me to do this in this season and I did it, that's it. That's it.
I
I
love
did it.
that. Success is obedience. And so I'm assuming you answered that question with answer B, where acting wasn't on the table, but husband and the possibility of children. So let's talk about husband, because you've mentioned husband a few times. So we need to talk about this husband. So you've gone through this life of losing dad. You've gone through this life of battling fear and doubt, having to let go and let go of control. Where does your husband fit into all of this journey on the way up to the mountaintop?
Our love story is like a fairy tale, Charissa. So my first introduction to church was actually at his father's church when I was like 13 years old. So his father was my pastor. It's all I knew at the time. And he was this fine little thing walking up, and teaching. And I always thought he was attractive. But I just thought, that's inappropriate. You don't look at the pastor's son. So we never exchanged any words all these years, despite what people think. Never. It wasn't until 2016 when I moved to Los Angeles. He moved to Hawaii at the time. We started to just kind of just slowly get connected. He reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, how you doing? Checking in." I'm like, hi, pastor? Like, why are you even reaching out here? It was kind of weird. And I didn't see him. I didn't see him for a long time because I went through my own healing of, you wanting a certain type of guy. And I wasn't desiring a man of faith. It was just like, you want the bad boy. You kind of go through that season. And so I missed him. I missed him for so many years. 2019, he tried to reach out again, and I missed it. So finally, literally, after I started my ministry, God told me to host a Christian mixer online. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And he told me how to do it. So I was hosting it online with my ministry, for my ministry. I got a bunch of ladies, but I needed men. So I reached out to him, just DM'd, and I said, hey, I know you're in church. Do you know any guys? Because I have so many women who want to get connected with, men in the space. And he said, yeah. And he was like, oh, is the host going, is the host taken? I said, no, I'm single. So that happened. The mixer happened. And afterwards he reaches out and he's like, hey, let's get connected. I'm like, okay, I'm looking at him as a mentor, honestly, totally missing it. And then I invited him on. I was like, hey, I would love for you to come speak on, one Sunday to the women in my ministry. He said, sure. He waited like a month. And I was like, okay. He came on. The ladies in my ministry was like, Shani, I think he likes you. And I'm like, no. He reaches out after. He's like, yeah, I actually do like you. And I'm like, I'm just missing everything. I missed it. So from there, we started to talk. And we dated about a year before we got engaged and married 5 months after engagement. And we did it in Jamaica.
In Jamaica. And that's where you're
yes.
from, correct?
My mother is from Jamaica.
Your mother is from there.
Yes. My mother's from Jamaica. My dad is African American.
So you've been married about how long?
2.5 years.
2.5 years.
2.5 years. Yeah.
Interesting. It's a pity that you and I haven't met sooner than right now, because
I know.
I remember you're telling your story and you said for a long time I didn't see him.
Yeah.
He's right in front of you, but you didn't see him. That is exactly my story with my husband. He was in front of me a couple of times. He has a different story than I do because as far as he's concerned, we met back in 2016. He was following me before that. I only remember meeting him in 2018.
Wow, look at
that. A few other
that.
times, and I just didn't see him. Even when we met officially, I still didn't see him because, like you say, he didn't fit the type that I thought I had.
Yes.
The typical tall, dark, really handsome. Yeah, okay, fine. I was that, right? And he is the complete opposite of all of those things. So for a long time, I didn't see him. And then one day came, he started opening his mouth, saying all the right things. And then he opened my eyes. Like the scales were moved from my eyes and boom, I saw him. So I can resonate with that very, very story. It is so funny. And then these men who don't fit your type, if you will, end up being the, for lack of a better phrase, the perfect man, the perfect fit, if you will, for what it is that God has for your life.
Yes.
Because let's just say, Shani, he had given me what I wanted because I was entitled, because I'm his favorite. Let's just say God gave me the tall and the dark and the handsome and the beautiful. Let's say he gave me all of that. And it was someone who was completely unaligned and misaligned for my purpose.
Right.
My entire life would be a travesty.
Yes.
Would be a waste.
Yeah.
Yep. But
yep. That is that's why purpose matters, because I knew my purpose prior. And it really did shine the light on who was for me. So a lot of women get stuck there. When I was in my teaching about this, they would tell me, Shani, but I can't get over my type. Like, well, when you know your purpose and you start dating, and I kept hearing different guys, oh, well, I'm not into church. And I'm like, well, I know God is calling me into church, so this is not going to work out. Even though you love God, I love God. So that's why you really got to know your purpose. That's who you have to choose based off of, do we align? And that's what your dad taught a lot about, like kingdom marriage. And I was like, I want that. I really want that, because God told me that he said to me, he said, you're going to get married, but this ain't about you. It's not because you're just so beautiful or so deserving. He said, it's what it's going to do. Like, I'm aligning you guys together to get something done. You have to do things on this earth for God, and it's what it's going to do for people. This is not about you, Shani, and just wanting to get picked, like pick me, or look, I'm married, you're not. It wasn't about any of that. So God let me know, and I went into marriage understanding just how challenging it would be, because we could be so selfish, right? Like, so this is why purpose matters, because you won't really know who's God's best for you if you don't know what you got to do.
And it's
What
the
does
one
God ask
thing.
you to do?
It's the
Yeah.
one thing that's gonna last when the love
Yes.
runs out.
Bingo.
One day you're gonna wake up and say, "Oh, I don't like you today."
Right.
But then
Right.
you're gonna remember, okay, so I married to you because of love.
Yep.
You know, and so I'm happy to hear that. You know, the first time you mentioned your husband, you talked about him being the elements of your father
Mm-hmm.
that you get to hold on to, because dad is,
Yeah.
and dad isn't here. And so there's a level of peace and comfort and joy that you can find in that. And
Yeah.
even if that also be a part of the connection and alignment
Yes.
that God, even though you say he took it away from you,
Yeah.
he said, but I'm gonna bring it back. And
Right.
it might not be in the form of your father, but it's gonna be right there with you in your bed 24/7.
Yes.
Because I'm
Yes.
always going to protect you. I'm always going to provide for you. I'm always going to be there with you, for you. Are you going to keep me as the number one source of your life?
Yes, and trust him. It's so weird. The way Randy laughs reminds me of my father. My dad always used to comfort me when I was like, we get all anxiety or worried about something. I always would run to my dad, and he has a very calming spirit, like, it's okay. And Randy, the way he's very comforting, and it's just man, my dad is never forgotten. And I'm grateful that I have Randy in my life, who really gives me those little elements that reminds me of my father.
Well, we are also grateful that you have Randy
Yeah.
in your life. We're
Yeah.
glad that you chose option B. You
Yes.
didn't just choose option A. Because you never know. You may end up with it all. Who knows what God has
Who
planned?
knows?
And that's the
Yeah.
good thing about it. As long as you're breathing, the
Yep.
plans can keep going. His
Can
purpose can
keep
keep
going.
prevailing. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to end here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I say, as it doesn't have to end here, why do we have to end here? The time is gone. This has been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Amazing.
Amazing. I mean, we do have to end because your edges are snatched.
Well,
Everybody
now that
else's
they
edges
grew
is
it back, please. So before we close, Shani, can you please share one last bit of the best advice that you can give to the women and men listening right now?
Best advice. Really be a disciple of Jesus Christ. Really be a disciple. Don't just believe. Like, lay down your life and operate in obedience, and really trust that God, he really has your best interest at heart. Even when you don't feel like it, you're still blessed. Even when you don't feel like it, always check your feelings. Rely on what you know about God.
Amen. You said lay down
Yes.
your life. That I
Yes.
appreciate.
Yes.
Thank you so very much for your
Thank
candor,
you.
your honesty. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you walked away with something. I hope you were able to see your life in part of Shawnee's story, so that you can say, man, if she went through that and came out on this side, and this is where she is, I can do it too. take the advice, take the gems, take what you need from this episode today, from this conversation, and apply it to your life so that you can have the transformation and the breakthrough that you need to live a life on purpose. Shani, again, thank you
Yes.
so very much. I love to end on my favorite notes, and that's food. I'm a big foodie. Big foodie. And I'm from the
Ooh.
islands, just like how you have that history. So I would love for you to share this experience with me. What is your favorite food? What is your favorite restaurant?
Ooh, my favorite dish would be red snapper. I love
With
me a
the
good
head or
red.
no head?
I could do the head. Listen,
Girl,
I could
that
do
is
the
my,
head.
if it ain't got the head to the tail, I don't want it. That
Yes.
is it.
And I do have
Restaurant.
to shout out here in LA. There's a restaurant called 1876. They got the best Jamaican food in all of Los Angeles. So
Nice.
I would say that's probably like the best place.
I have to
Now
keep
now
that
I
in my
want red
Rolodex.
snappers. Thank you, Tris.
187. You are most welcome. Enjoy. I wish I could have red snapper right now from the Bahamas. But Ashani,
Yes,
thank you so very much. This was very
thank
fun,
you.
very
Yes,
enjoyable. But even I learned a whole lot from you, and I'm
thank you,
very grateful. So,
thank
ladies
you,
and gentlemen, this has been another great episode of the Purpose Finder podcast. I am your host, Charissa Monroe Wilborn. And until next time, see you soon. And ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap on this episode of the Purpose Finder podcast. I hope today's conversation lit a fire within you, because purpose isn't just something you chase. It is something you live every single day. If this episode resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more people on their journey to purpose. Let's continue the journey together. Join the Purpose Finder community on Facebook for exclusive insights, tools, and a tribe of purpose-driven people just like you. And remember, the two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. Your purpose isn't far off. It's already within you. It's time for you to uncover it and live it boldly. Until next time, stay inspired, stay intentional, and keep walking in your purpose.